This is the Life Science Common Test, which is a September test from the province of KwaZulu-Natal. So going to the requirements of the question paper, we are given that the instructions and information, first part, we have to answer all questions. Very important that you answer all the questions that are given in the question paper. So we are going to start with the multiple choice section. The first question that we have reads, which one of the following substances treated by the skin, lungs, and kidneys. So of course we've got urea, uric acid, water, carbon dioxide. So you would see that the correct response that we are given there is water. We have C as the correct answer. Or number two, what is the pH of urine are likely to be if there is an excess of bicarbonate ions in the blood? Of course, remember when we have our bicarbonate ions are they are essential for the transport of carbon dioxide in the body. So in this case, according to our question, it requires us to explain in terms of what is the pH of urine likely to be if there is an excess of bicarbonate ions in the blood, and of course, it's the pH is going to be high, which leaves us with D as the correct answer, which is 8. So we go to the next sentence. A disadvantage of monoculture is that it decreases. Remember, monoculture is cultivation of a single crop in a given area, or we are saying it is the practice of growing one crop in a field at a time. So basically, but you'd see that monoculture increases efficiency in planting and harvesting crops. So according to our question, it requires us to come up with the disadvantage of monoculture. So we're going to see that we have got various disadvantages that we can deduce from monoculture. There are challenges on pest management. Pest management is a problem when we are undertaking monoculture, and also we are going to notice a disadvantage of high pest acid use when we are undertaking a monoculture, and also soil degradation and fertility loss is also experienced. Those are some of the disadvantages. It also it leads to loss of genetic diversity, which leaves us with A as the correct response, which is saying that it decreases biodiversity. So that leaves us with A as the correct response. Remember, biodiversity is the loss of genetic diversity. So we have our correct answer as A. So moving on to number 4, study the characteristics below. So these are the characteristics that were given. Then the question reads, which one of the following combinations of characteristics apply to alien invasive plants? So when we are looking at alien invasive plants, this refers to plants brought to South Africa from other countries, both intentionally and unintentionally. So within that context, again, if you check according to the characteristics that we are given, you'd see that the correct response is B, whereby we have 1, which is absence of natural predators in the habitat, and also we have 3, which can be regulated through a biological control. So we have B as the correct answer. And moving on to number 5. Number 5 is the diagram below. We can try to check where we have our number 5. So this is our number 4, and then we have our number 5 on this part, whereby it reads a reduction in the use of chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs, may contribute to. Of course, we have got a higher incidence of skin cancer. B, we have got a lower incidence of damage to the eyes. C, a depletion of the ozone layer. D, an increase in global warming. That leaves us with B as correct response, a lower incidence of damage to the eyes. So we have our B as the correct response. So that is what we have on section A, and we've got a total of 10 marks on section A. So we move on to the next part, which is going to be our section B. And our section B, we're going to start on question 2. Question 1, the diagram below represents a working model for the breathing system. So we're given a diagram that you need to go through. Then our first part of the question, name the parts of the breathing system represented by the rubber sheet. So we see that we have the rubber sheet on this part. And of course, we need to name the part of the breathing system. Of course, this is the diaphragm. So it is at the diaphragm. Then we go to the next question, number 2. Give a visible reason why diagram B represents inhalation. As why diagram B represents inhalation. So remember, when we are talking about inhalation, it happens when air or other gases enter the lungs. So basically, that's when we experience inhalation. So the question uh, says give a visible reason why diagram B represents inhalation. So it's because of lowered rubber sheet. The lowered rubber sheet there indicates that there is an inhalation that is taking place. So the reason we are saying lower rubber sheet. Or we can say increase in volume of bell jar. That's also a correct response that we can give. So basically, that's what we have on number 2. Then we go to number 3. State how the action of this model differs from the similar mechanism in the human body. So the question is asking us why the action of this model differs from the similar mechanism in human body. So you are going to see that it is obviously it differs because of the movement of the rib cage or action of the intercostal muscles, which cannot be demonstrated with the diagram that you are hearing there. So within that context, now we check in terms of the explanation that we have. We are saying the movement of the rib cage cannot be demonstrated. So that's why it differs. So we have the explanations on this part. That is our 2.1.3. Then we move on to the next question, whereby we are saying describe the process of exhalation that occurs in the human body. So in the process of exhalation, we are going to see the diaphragm relaxing. So the diaphragm relaxes and also external intercostal muscles are relaxed. We're also going to see the volume of the thoracic cavity decreasing. And the pressure on the lungs also increases. Air leaves the lungs and enters the atmosphere. So those are the descriptions that we have during the process of exhalation. So we have those descriptions stated in our answer section. We're saying at the first point, diaphragm relaxes. And then on the second point, external intercostal muscles relax. So further points we also have explaining that. So basically that's what we have on that part. Then moving on to the next question, which is going to be 2.2. The following diagram represents an alveolus and a blood capillary in the human lung. The arrows indicate the direction in which gases are moving. So we have got arrows that are indicating a direction in which gases are moving. So beneath our diagram, first question reads, will carbon dioxide move from A to B or from B to A? So of course, A to B, we have got this arrow. Then B to A, we have got this arrow. So the correct answer or the correct direction is B to A. So B to A is the correct part. Then we go to number 2. So on number 2, it says explain one advantage of the fact that cell C passes through the capillary in a single row. And we check in terms of our cell C, which is this one, and it's being said to pass through the capillary in a single row. So what is the advantage of that? So you'd see that the advantage is that every cell is brought closer to the alveolus to increase the amount of gases exchanged. So that is the advantage that we have. which we have also explained in our answer section, as we have it on this part. Every cell is brought closer to the alveolus to increase the amount of gases exchanged. So that's what we have on that part. Then move on to the next question. In the disease emphysema, the alveolus becomes less lobed. Explain the effect that this could have on the process of gas exchange. So you see that the surface area of the alveolus will decrease, thus decreasing the amount of gases exchanged. So that is the response that we have, which we have also stated in our answer section on this part. The surface area of the alveolus will decrease, and that's decreasing the amount of gases exchanged. So that is what we have for 2.2.3. Then moving on to 2.2.4, which is carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas. Explain one consequence of an increased concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So you'd see that the consequence is that it leads to enhanced greenhouse effect, causing global warming or increase in average temperature of the earth. That is one consequence that we can have, as explained in our answer section. On this part leads to enhanced greenhouse effect, causing global warming or increase in average temperature of the earth. So this is the explanation that we have on this part. So you'd see that this is the last question that we have on our question 2. And our question 2 has got a total of 15 marks. Moving on to our question 3. Our question 3 reads that the following graph shows the concentration of certain substances as they pass through the nephron of a person's kidney. So we are given the graph that we have. Then, of course, we've got a key that we have with this part. We've got region A, region B, region C, and region D. And of course, on the vertical axis, we have got our concentration from low to high. Then the first question is name the process that occurs in region A and also region B. So you'd see that for region A, it is the glomerular filtration. Then if you go to our B, it represents the tubular reabsorption. So basically, this is what we have on this part. Then you go to next part, 3.1.2. Name the metabolic waste product that occurs in high concentration in urine than in blood. So you'd see that this is urea. And on the third part, give a reason for the increased concentration of the metabolic waste product named in question 3.1.2, and that is urea. So you'd see that in terms of that, the reason is that water is reabsorbed from the renal tubule, or urea is extracted by epithelia cells of distal convolve. So basically, this is what we have on this part, which is 3.1.3. So we have those explanations as stated in our answer section on this part. As we have the response is water is reabsorbed from the renal tubule. And also we've got the alternative explanation in terms of that. So moving on to the next part, which is given in 3.1.4, explain one way in which the Bowman's capsule is adapted for its function. Explain one way in which the Bowman's capsule is adapted for its function. So you see, inner wall is a single layer of podocytes with slit pores that allow only very small substances from blood to pass through. So that is the response to 3.1.4. And of course, we have that is explained on this part. As we are saying, the inner walls is a single layer of podocytes with the slit pores that may allow only few small substances from blood to pass through. So basically, this is the explanation that we have within that question. Then moving on to the next question, which is now going to be our question 3.2. The table below shows the percentage of water consumed by different sectors in South Africa. We've got a column for sector and then a column for amount of water consumed. Then 3.2.1, which one of the sectors listed above contributes most to eutrophication? So, of course, by mere looking, you would see that we have agriculture is stated 59%, which is above others. So agriculture on a 3.2.1, and then 3.2.2 state two effects of eutrophication. So the two effects are that there will be a rapid algal growth and increased bacterial action or decomposition can be also an effect. Depletion of oxygen in the water also, death of plants and animals. So you would say that eutrophication is a term describing a process in which nutrients accumulate in a body of water, resulting in increased growth of organisms that may deplete the oxygen in the water. So we have a depletion of oxygen, and we see that depletion of oxygen also is one of the effects that we have. So we have those stated again in our other section. So on our 3.2.2 is stated on this part. So these are the effects. Of course, we've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. And moving on to the next question. During periods of drought, consumers may experience water restrictions. Explain why these restrictions are likely to be imposed upon the domestic sector rather than other sectors unlisted. So the reason is that water restrictions imposed on other sectors will negatively affect economic activity. So you'd see that if the restrictions are imposed on domestic, they are not going to affect economic activity. Remember, if economic activity is affected, it's going to affect many macroeconomic aspects, including the total activity, which leads to GDP, which is total monetary value of goods that are going to be produced. So in that case, that's why we have that scenario. And also, water restrictions on domestic sector will affect the life of the individual, not the country. So it's that if it's imposed on other sectors, it's going to affect the whole country. So it's going to be a macroeconomic problem. So in that sense, that's why we have also such a scenario. So we have those reasons is also stated on this part. So basically, this is what we have on that part. And that marks at the end of our question 3. And of course, we now have our section C where we have our question 4, which reads that describe the various factors that threaten food security. So we need to understand what is food security. So food security, basically, it exists when people have access to enough food, safe food, and also nutritious food for normal growth and development, and also to have an active and healthy life. So that's our food security. So basically, we are saying having reliable access to sufficient quantity of affordable healthy food is food security. So our question requires us to describe the various factors that threaten our food security. So we are going to see that we have got various points that we can include within that context, whereby we can talk about rapid population growth can affect uh, food security. We can call it human exponential population growth, which may result in domestic consumption of food being more than its production. It's also one of the factors. We can also look at monoculture, which leads to soil erosion, the depletion of nutrients from soil, which also going to pollute rivers, pollution of rivers. So monoculture also is one of them. Also look at pest control, that is in the sense of overuse of pest acids, which may cause accumulation of pest acids in food chains. So it's also one of the factors. We can also talk about alien plants and the reduction of agricultural land. So those are some of the factors that we can include. So we can have them as stated in the other section. As we have the first point that we have is human exponential population growth. You've got droughts and floods also, or climate change, monoculture, pest control, loss of topsoil or erosion, need for fertilizers, allied plants, and the reduction of agricultural land, loss of wild varieties, impact on gene pools. So this is also another one. Generally, engineered foods, wastage. Those are the factors that you can include on this question. So basically, this is what we have, and there also their explanations are also beneath that. And this marks at the end of our question paper. That is our September test.